Miss Marvel is created by Bisha K. Ali and stars Iman Vellani, Matt Linz, and Yasmine Fletcher. Kamala is a superhero fan with imagination, sometimes feeling like she neither fits in at school or even with her family. That is, until she acquires fantastical abilities that bring her closer to her family more than ever before. Unlike some of Marvel's more obscure superheroes that they've been bringing into the mainstream, I have at least heard of Miss Marvel, and I have seen the covers of some of her comic books, but that's pretty much it. I've never read a single Miss Marvel comic book, so I have no idea what I was getting into when I started watching this series. I'll be honest, I wasn't really expecting much just because I've never heard of Miss Marvel, and the trailers didn't make the show look like it was going to be anything that great, but I'll be perfectly honest, I was actually really surprised just how charming and likable this show was. I found it to be pretty entertaining. Like most Marvel projects, the two best things about this show is the actors and the characters. I truly loved Iman as Kamala in this show. She is so bubbly, so likable, but at the same time, so introverted, at least when it comes to herself at school, that she immediately feels like one of the most relatable characters in the entirety of the MCU. It truly made me remember just how much I related to Peter Parker when I saw him in Spider-Man Homecoming. She's just a normal kid who looks up to her hero, in this case, obviously Captain Marvel, and wants to be good just like her, and in that way, you can't help but really identify with her. And I loved the chemistry and the connection that not only Kamala had with everyone else in the cast, but just everyone in the cast has with everyone else in the cast. Kamala and her mother, Kamala and her father, Kamala and her brother. Even Bruno has some good connections with Kamala's family that I actually really found really endearing. I absolutely loved the family aspect of this show, and to be more transparent, I loved the culture. I am not Muslim or Pakistani, so that culture is pretty foreign to me, and just seeing the glimpses of that culture in this show, I found really interesting, and I'm super glad that the MCU at least is becoming more and more inclusive about other cultures in the world. And apart from the music and the action, which is as good as usual, the last best thing that I have to highlight in this show is the style. This might be one of the most stylized Marvel outings ever. How colorful it is, the camera movements, the editing. It really reminded me a lot of Edgar Wright's style just in the MCU, which made me love it even more. I feel like the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies tried to replicate this style, but I feel like they only did that during the end credits. This style is throughout Miss Marvel, throughout the show, and I absolutely loved it. And I feel like the best aspects of this show truly are in the first half of the season, the first 3 episodes. Then we get to the last 3 episodes. Not that any episode in the last half of the season got awful, it's just that the problems got more and more apparent. Most specifically, how rushed it is. This season is only 6 episodes, just like most of the other Marvel shows, and I feel like that sort of dogmatic runtime of seasons really hurts this end product for this show. While the first half was paced out really well, the last half super rushed overall. It felt like they were cramming in as many plot points as possible. It felt like villains were going in and out as soon as we were introduced to them. And it felt like character arcs, especially the character arc for Kamala's mother, just felt fast forwarded. One episode, she's super stern, and literally the next, she's telling her daughter, go out there, do what you want. And it made a show that was at first very identifiable quickly seem completely unbelievable. And along with that, the effects in the last half of the season are so bad. I'm sorry, but they are. In the first half of the season, the effects were pretty light, and I do mean that both metaphorically and literally, as in Kamala's superpower is to create light constructs. But in the last half of the season, when her powers are starting to grow and she's allowed to do more acrobatic and super stuff, that's when either the rushed pacing or the low budget started to show. She just looked so rubbery and clearly not there, especially one moment in the finale of the season when she's meeting up with someone, doing a whole bunch of acrobatics through an alleyway with her light constructs, lands, we see the back of her, and the back of her is clearly CGI because when we cut to a reverse shot of her face, it's a completely different body structure. It honestly got embarrassing at that point, and just seeing that scene alone truly made me terrified to see what She-Hulk is going to do. So yeah, there are definite flaws with this show, especially in the last half of the season. But overall, I'm gonna be honest, I found this whole show extremely likable, charming, and entertaining. Once the season gets past the halfway mark, that's when the faults are apparent. The rushed pacing at the end makes the last half of the show feel crammed when it comes to their plot points, unfocused when it comes to their villains, and sloppy when it comes to their effects. However, personally, that didn't take away from all of the great things in the first half of the season, even sprinkled into those last episodes. The actors are great, the characters are likable, the cultural aspect is interesting, and the style is creative. I do miss when the MCU was the groundbreakers of entertainment instead of just the people offering up something fun and that's it. But fun is fun, and I had a lot of fun. I'm going to give Miss Marvel a B. Well guys, thank you so much for watching, and let me know in the comments down below if you could take inspiration from one Marvel Cinematic Universe hero, who would you take inspiration from? For me, I would probably have to go with Doctor Strange. Mainly because I just want some of his eldritch magic that he does that looks so cool. Also, he thinks logically, and I respect that. Except for that moment. But that was understandable. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are the best. And don't forget to click subscribe and click the bell icon down below to stay up to date on all things movie, all things TV, all things nerd.